What's up, everybody? Paul from Lift Run Bang. Gonna do a video Q&A from the Lift Run Bang Facebook page. I'm gonna start off with a question from Jason Pegg. What is the best way to mentally prepare myself to defend myself and my family should I come across a beast or group of beasts in tap out shirts and hats? Really nervous, but because it's rumored that some of them train UFC, bro. From my understanding, what I know about tap out shirts and hats and the like is that you actually can't get them at the store. The only place that you can get tap out shirts or hats are if you go and train with UFC fighters and such. So if you see a group of guys that are indeed wearing tap out shirts, that kind of apparel, you should definitely avoid them. My suggestion would be just to cross the street, get out of the way, whatever it is you need to do to spare yourself from those killers, and make sure that your family doesn't get hurt. If you have your children, it's possible that you could have your children fetch them some food or drink. You could also, if your girlfriend needs to pay them conjugal visits when they go to prison for killing men, that might be a way you could sign a contract with them on the spot. Say, hey, when you kill this next guy, my girlfriend or wife could pay you conjugal visits in prison if you'll spare me right now. That might also be a good option. So you could go that route. That's what I would suggest. Um, Next question. How does someone balance training for military and Leo physical test, maintaining strength? I did a whole article about training to go back into the military. But one thing about military training for sure is that if you need to do the best on your military test, then those are the things you need to concentrate on. You're not going to be as strong as you can possibly be while doing, running, all the calisthenics you have to do and those kind of things. So if the most important thing, if it's paramount that you be really fucking good at the military test, then that's what you need to concentrate on. Working your strength work 2 or 3 times a week. My suggestion is to have some type of programming that you're following. But what's paramount is to make sure that you're passing a military test, the physical test, you're doing well on those. A lot of guys do find if they're squatting heavy, hard, real often their legs get dead on runs. I know that when I was training to go back into the military, when I was doing, I had to switch my squat to more lighter stuff rather than doing really heavy stuff because I would feel a difference on my long when I was doing long distance running on those days. So I know you can't tell I did any long distance running now, but I did at one point. So um, let's see if I have ever trained for any strongman specific events. No, I've never done Atlas stones. I've done, well, I guess I have done log pressing. Um, I've never done the Captain of Crush stuff. I'm not a grip guy. As far as my deadlift goes, I've never lost a deadlift to the grip, possibly because there wasn't enough weight loaded on the bar at the time. So when you're not a great deadlifter, you have to put enough weight on the bar to actually lose a deadlift due to grip. So um, let's see. Talk about my process for setting goals. Um, that one's pretty simple, and that's a good question. Basically, like for example, going in from nationals going into worlds, there's not really much of a difference. I didn't have the day that I wanted to have at nationals, so worlds is basically similar planning. Uh, Through the years, I've tried to set my sights on small goals, and a lot of times rep PRs. Rep PRs was the main thing that I went after years and years and years and years. Was that I wanted to be able to do a certain weight for a certain amount of reps. And I see a lot of guys I feel like do that backwards now. They want to max single something. Well, if you take going from a 315 for 6 on your bench to 315 for 10, you got stronger. If you take your whatever you're doing for 5 on any lift, and you take that to 10, you got stronger. Your 1 rep max would have gone up, and you don't have to constantly work into those lower rep ranges all the time when you're doing that. So that was how I mainly set goals. What I would set goals, and I still do that most of the time. Um, during the years that I actually have rep goals that I go after rather than chasing. Like I don't ever one rep max in the gym for the most part unless it's like a pet exercise like incline press. So I try to set rep goals throughout the year when I'm not training for a meet. And so I have all sorts of goals that I want to chase. I still want to incline 315 for 20, and bench 315 for 25, or 365 for 15, stuff like that. So those are the kind of goals that I'll set, rep goals, during the off season, and that's what I generally try to do. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through here, grabbing a few here and there. Why do I keep shitting in my Under Armour when squatting or pulling? Should I use a laxative right before to clean everything out, or I'll have to stop having Hershey kisses between my cheeks? My guess is that if you're shitting your Under Armour, it means that you have man tights on. So it's very likely what happened is you know to your knowing, unbeknown to you, that someone punched you in the vagina, through the vagina, directly into your asshole, and caused you to shit yourself, because you have on Under Armour man tights. And that, if what I would suggest is to check before you squat or pull if you have on Under Armour man tights, and if you do, there's probably someone in front of you somewhere waiting to punch you through your vagina into your asshole. That's probably what's going on right there. Tony Lack asked, week off the floor, should he do stiff leg deadlifts or deficit to help that? My take on that is a little different than a lot of guys. I think if you're weak off the floor, it's leg strength. Okay, a lot of guys extend this range of motion. I used to believe that too, but it's actually leg strength. If you want to get stronger off the floor, if you feel weak off the floor, you actually it's really knee extension that helps initiate that drive off the floor. So you need to get stronger there, unless you're like a stiff-legged puller. If you have a little less knee flexion coming off the floor, then yeah, you'd want to do maybe more stiff leg type work or extended range work like deficit pulls. However, I find that most guys, if they want to get stronger off the floor, they really just need to get stronger legs. So a lot of front squats. Front squats tend to carry over really well with guys, regardless of if they're a sumo puller or a conventional puller, because that's what it helps. It helps build the quads, the glutes, those kind of things. It helps get the bar driving off the floor hard. So what I'd really suggest is going hard after, believe it or not, front squats, and throw in some leg presses after you do your squats and your front. And anybody that laughs at that, if you go back and look at the Yoko Ahola, he actually really liked the leg press for helping his deadlift off the floor. He was a pretty good fucking deadlifter. So he said he found he got tremendous carryover in that, and Andy Bolton actually does too. So that's not two guys that, smart guys that are strong, that know a little bit about how to pull. Given an infinite amount of food and sleep, what would I train like for maximum gains for like a natural guy? That's how I trained for the summer when I was like 17. And for that summer, obviously, wasn't going to school. I wasn't working at the time. So all I had to do was train and eat. And I trained 6 days a week. And I trained each body part 3 times a week. So I don't remember the exact split, but I do know each body part was getting hit 3 times a week. And I ate just a tremendous amount of food, pretty much to the point to where every meal I was gagging. And a lot of people will laugh at that, but that's pretty much how you have to eat if you really want to gain weight and grow, especially for younger guys who always think that they eat so much. But and then when I look at what they're eating, and then I tell them how I ate at that time, they realize they really were not eating very much. So that's pretty much what you have to do if you're in that situation. I would train 6 days a week. If I was younger, I can't recover like that now, regardless of what anybody says to you about stuff. I can't recover like that now. I wouldn't want to train 6 days a week. I enjoy having a life outside the gym. So, but for a young guy who wants to grow and get bigger, who has nothing to do at the time, has a pretty stress-free life, yeah, train as often, and I train really fucking hard the whole summer. And that's when your recovery, when you're not super strong like that, your recovery is at an all-time high. So that's how you should go after it. Let's see. Um, Basically, if a guy wants to train twice a week, busy schedule, can only get in twice a week, doing push pull and then squat both days, I think that's a great idea. You can do better way would actually be to squat one day and front squat the other, and then do basically whatever push you want to do. To me, my bread and butter is always either close grip bench and incline press, but a lot of guys like to do overhead work. You could even rotate all three. So one week you bench and incline, and then the next week you say overhead and then bench and then incline, so forth and so on. So it's three instead of two, and you get a little more balance in that way. And then with your pulling, you could pull, well, I'd say like once a week or once every other week, and then basically have one day where it's more like a vertical row, and then another day it's like a horizontal row. So one day you're doing lots of chin ups with pull downs, and then the next day you're doing like 2 or 3 row variations, and then the other time you go in and deadlift. So again, you may be training twice a week, but you really end up spreading the workouts across 3 different workouts. So one day would be squat, like bench press, and then chin ups, and then the next day that you go in would be front squats, incline press, deadlift, and then the next week it might be over squat, overhead press, and then your rows. So and then you do it like that. So that way you're hitting everything that you need to hit, but it's spread out over the 3 days, even though you're training twice a week. And I think that's a pretty good way to do that. All right, getting back to work with bicep forearm problems. Everything that I have every problem that every time that I have anything going on in the bicep forearm area, it's 100 rep curls twice a week with the empty bar. Guys ask this all the time. I think I've gone over this a million times. Empty bar, 100 reps nonstop. If you can't get 100, get as many as you can. Put the bar down, pick it back up on a shortened period, and go back at it. And that's what I suggest. But get as close to you can for the 100. That's what I'm going to do for tonight. Thanks to everybody for submitting the question. I appreciate it. I'm out.